A-State hired one of the best recruiters in college basketball. So who is Coach Hodson wanting to don a Red Wolves uniform?
And with Izzy Higginbottom's stellar performance this season, what can be done to surround her with accompanying talent?
And with the football team held its first spring practice this weekend, who got reps, who got looks, and what predictions can we really make from a controlled scrimmage? We'll discuss it next on Red Wolf Roundtable. Welcome back to Red Wolf Roundtable here on ASU-TV. You already know who I am. I'm your host, Tristan Harlan. Here to my right is my best friend, my good friend, the compadre, my brother from another mother, the guy who we finally caught that was on the loose, Juicebox, Cooper Melder. Cooper, how you doing today, my friend?
Guess I'm not on the loose anymore since y'all got me here in the chair at the desk. But you know what? Like always, I'm feeling great. I'm glad to be back here for another great episode.
Yeah, Cooper, we got a lot of exciting things to talk about, as you heard right before our theme song rolled. But before we get too carried away, you already know what time it is. It's time to send it to everybody's favorite news desk correspondent, Ella Jane Britt. Ella Jane, take it away.
First off, us here at Red Wolf Roundtable would like to send Wynne, Arkansas and Little Rock, Arkansas up in our thoughts and prayers as a tornado had recently struck through last Friday on both of their towns. But, like Tristan said, my name is Ella Jane Britt, and welcome back to the Red Wolf Roundtable News Desk. This week in A-State athletics, the Red Wolves baseball team fell to Texas State this past weekend, where the Bobcats beat them 2-3 in the weekend series, falling 7-6 in Sunday's matchup. Brandon Hager managed to end Saturday's game with not one home run, but 2 home runs, along with going 2 for 3 for the day, and had just become the first A-State hitter to go deep twice in a contest since Ben Klutz back in April of 2022. Wolf Wrench and Daedric Kell also contributed to the series this past weekend, tallying 2 hits apiece while Kell drove in for 3 runs and homered. In A-State women's tennis, the Lady Red Wolves fell to James Madison this past Saturday with a final score of 7-0. Abigail Thurman was swept in straight sets, those being 6-0 and another 6-0 on court 3 by Daniela Volo. To give JMU the 2-0 lead, these Lady Red Wolves will visit SEMO on Wednesday for a 2 p.m. contest before heading back home for a few league matchups against Coastal Carolina on April 7th and Georgia Southern on April 9th. Arkansas State Track and Field had yet another stellar weekend, which concluded in 22 top 5 finishes, results, and 7 titles at the UAB Invitational. Pauline Meyer crushed her own school record in the women's 3,000-meter steeplechase with a running time of 10 minutes and 8 seconds. Tyra Neighbors moved into a tie for 8th in school history for the 100-meter hurdles, in which she won the event with a time of 13.82. She later placed 2nd in the 400-meter hurdles, finishing with a time of 1 minute and 5 seconds. This team of stellar athletes will return to action Friday and Saturday, where they will be competing in Oxford, Mississippi at the Joe Walker Invitational. Juice and T-Man, back to you.
Well, real quick, before we get carried on with the rest of the show, we do also want to send our condolences to those affected by the tornadoes in Little Rock and Wynne, Arkansas. We're praying for you guys to rebuild strong. But, Cooper, towards the end of this weekend, the baseball team has a home stand against the Troy Trojans. And by the way this baseball team's been playing so far, this is going to be an exciting contest.
Yes, you know, this season has been disappointing so far. We really thought it was going to be a new season, brand new type of deal. But to their defense, they have a conference win. Last year, I think we went maybe 4 or 5 conference series. It was almost the end of the year against Little Rock when we finally won our first conference game and won our first conference series. But if we can get things going like we did this weekend in our 1 win, we will have a shot to win. But it's going to come down to pitching and relief pitching. We talked about pitching was supposed to be better this year. We really haven't seen it. The bats are alive, as you saw from what Ellie had to say, but can the pitching show up?
Yeah, Cooper, I mean, that's a very interesting and honest take. But real quick, we're going to call a timeout, take a break, and we'll be right back. You're watching Red Wolf Roundtable here on ASU-TV.
ASU-TV, shows like Red Wolf Roundtable, ASU-TV News, Westside Football, and more. Gain real-life experience while doing what you love. Get involved with ASU-TV today.
ASU-TV, covering all your favorite sports. From Red Wolf Roundtable to Westside Football and more, ASU-TV has you covered. Tune in now to ASU-TV for news and coverage on these sports and more.
Welcome back to Red Wolf Roundtable. Now, as you saw in the open, we're going to go ahead and talk about Coach Hodgson's first year here in Jonesboro and what really he needs to do to be a winner here in Jonesboro in his first season.
Yes, like you were saying in the open, he's a great recruiter. And we've said it here, I've said it multiple times, he's going to have to recruit in-state. The best coaches get the in-state recruits. At smaller schools, teams that do well and succeed, they get in transfers and they recruit in-state. Because when the motivation he needs to bring for kids he's getting in-state is saying, you know, I know the University of Arkansas may have not looked at you. I know Coach Musselman may have not contacted you, but come to Arkansas State. Prove him why he should have gone and got you. Prove him why he should have looked at your tape more. And if he can do that, use that motivation for them, he can get those in-state recruits. Because, like we all know, we're not going to be getting Apollo Bencaro, Chet Holmgren here at A-State. We're not going to get a five-star like that. It's just how the world of basketball goes. But if we can get former four-stars that haven't panned out on their team just because of the coaching style, bring in those transfers, and we can actually build a team around Coach Hodgson.
Right, and you bring up the next point that I wanted to ask you is that looking at this sort of roster so far with the guys that have returned, you know, some of the guys that have entered the portal, like Mac Mansell, he just entered the portal to Juan, along with Antoine Jackson, who just entered the portal. What real position do you think the number one priority for Coach Hodgson should be? I mean, should it be like a forward where Marquise Davis, who just graduated, or should we try to find maybe another big to play alongside of Isaiah so that maybe if AB does end up leaving, which we haven't got official word yet if he's leaving or not, but like what position you're an analyst, what position do you think this team needs?
So starting off, I would say guard play, we're pretty solid on guard play. I would say look at a couple for the future because Caleb Fields will be leaving and so will Avery Phelps in these next couple of years. We still got T-Baby. Shout out to him for coming back. He made the smartest decision you'll ever make. But I would say look at a couple guards, but what we need to focus on, that small forward position. We need a guy who's at least 6'7", 6'8", who can really come in and change the game. Whereas he can shoot the ball from the outside in the corner three, or he can go down low and get the tough, get his hands dirty and get a little layup. We need a forward. We really haven't had that small forward. We've really been trying to play either small ball or big ball, running us almost three centers out there. We need a guy who's athletic enough, but also big and kind of almost like LeBron. I'm not going to say, let's get LeBron James, get the next guy. We need a guy who's 6'8", 6'7", 6'6", something like that, and can move like a guard.
Yeah, I mean, you make a good point. We need the guy that has the bigger built body that can really run the floor, so to speak, and shoot the three ball, get inside, get the lay-ins and stuff like that. But, you know, speaking of that, you brought up a great point about Caleb Fields and Avery Phelps leaving in the near future. I mean, we've got one of the youngest teams right now, minus those guys with Terrence and Isaiah. Mm-hmm. And looking at some of Terrence Ford's stats now, you know, like we said last week, he's shooting 43% from the field and 40% from three. He had a game where he went on a tear. So you get guys like this, and you really say, hey, what can make A-State the next dominant team in the Sun Belt? Because let's be honest, the Sun Belt's evolving. I mean, sure, you see your corporate basketball, like I like to say with my buddy Jake Brewer, with the powerhouses like the SEC, the ACC, Big Ten, so on and so forth. But now that you got the blue collar basketball, so to speak, like Coach H like to said in his press conference numerous times, is you got this idea and this ideology that you get some of the forwards and you just got to get ball players. I mean, you want to get the guys that can get the flashy dunks, that can get the three ball, that can pass the ball, pass the rock around, and maybe get your team on like a sports center if they have a big game.
Yeah.
But what you really need to focus on is kind of those country strong guys, like a Bryant Reeves, so to speak, where they're not afraid to get inside because you've seen the evolution of the game, and they're all shooting the three. They're living and dying by the three. And I say that to ask this is, what really should be the standard going into next season with early recruiting just now starting?
The standard for me right now is I really want them to build around Terrence Ford. I feel like he's a younger player. He's going to be here for the next couple of years. We need to find a team identity. That's what we were missing last year. If you ask what style of play we played last year, I couldn't tell you. We need a set team identity and say, every game we're going to come out there, we're going to do this, this, and this on offense, this on defense. We didn't have that. It was a toss-up every game. It felt like there was a different little game plan every week they played. It was never consistent. We need consistency, and if we can do that, I feel like we could finish top 4 in the Sun Belt.
Yeah, and you answered the last question I wanted to ask you, but just looking at this team and looking at this conference as a whole, Cooper, I mean, what real team as of, and I'm sure we'll get into the discussion long after this because, we're still, I think, over 200 days away from the basketball season starting.
He'll be here before we know
it. I know. But real quick, just like what teams can you see as of right now with all the returning stars, what team in the Sun Belt do you really see as a threat for the Red Wolves and for Coach Hodgson in his first season as the Red Wolves basketball coach?
I would have to say Marshall. They're a really good team. They're just as young as us. They had that I can't remember his name, that big old tall dude.
They got freshman of the year that we said Terrence got robbed.
They are going to be a really good team that is going to be causing problems in the Sun Belts. Now, App State, they're good, but I feel like Marshall is that team on the come up that thinks next year, this next coming year, we want to be at the top of the Sun Belt. We want to make the conference tournament. We want to make the NCAA tournament. But the Red Wolves, if we can counter that with intense defense, because our defense last year wasn't the best. I would say it wasn't. There was no really getting down, getting dirty like Coach Rogers wants our team to. There was none of that. We need to play defense.
Well, Cooper, I mean, that up-tempo pace that you were keeping there has kind of got me wore out. I need to go to the sidelines and get me some Gatorade, Powerade. So real quick, we're going to take another step away for a break. You guys are watching Red Wolf Roundtable here on ASU-TV.
ASU-TV, shows like Red Wolf Roundtable, ASU-TV News, Westside Football, and more. Gain real-life experience while doing what you love. Get involved with ASU-TV today.
ASU-TV, covering all your favorite sports. From Red Wolf Roundtable to Westside Football and more, ASU-TV has you covered. Tune in now to ASU-TV for news and coverage on these sports and more.
Welcome back to Red Wolf Roundtable here on ASU-TV. And before we go any further, Melanie Kapinger, if you're watching this, we want to send you a special shout out because today is your birthday. Go ahead and party like it's your birthday. But Cooper, now it's time to talk about some women's basketball.
Okay.
And, you saw it in the Open again. And we really have the team has their centerpiece in Izzy Higginbottom.
Yes.
So I want to ask you, what is missing for the Lady Red Bulls basketball team?
Right. Well, speaking of centerpieces, we need this is no disrespect to Melody at all, but we need a center that can get up and get rebounds. We need a dominant center who may only be scoring 2-4 points a game, but is getting 10, 15 rebounds per game. If we can get that leads to second chance points opportunities for Izzy Higginbottom or the rest of the team, because last year I felt like we just really kept getting out rebounded.
Yeah, and you make a good point. And the thing is that when you're playing teams like the Troy, like a Texas State, like even a James Madison, that were constantly running that press defense on us, before we even got over the half-court line, you got to assemble your team to where the point of you have that center, may not be the fastest, but she's running down deep to where you can have maybe an Izzy Higginbottom, maybe Lauren Pendleton that can get that ball down there so that easy layups there, that easy second chance points off that missed three-point is there, or just something along the lines of where you can keep that tempo of offense going, because college basketball, that's the biggest thing, is the tempo offense. And what you need to do is, and again, this is no disrespect to Coach Rogers. Coach Rogers, that's my G. Like, I give her tremendous credit for what she's been able to do so far. But the biggest thing is that what you really need to focus on is that tempo offense, what you can do defensively to stop teams that are running the 7-second offense, that are really trying to neutralize that three-point shot to where, hey, you may only be scoring 85 to 90 points a game, but you're only allowing 50 to 60 points a game, to where, sure, you're getting the occasional close game here and there, but you're able to sort of control the game a little bit to where nothing gets too out of hand too fast, to where that team, your team, is always in the running. But like we were talking about, the centerpiece, Izzy Higginbottom. Coop, I want to ask, what kind of players other than the center really does Izzy need to be surrounded with for this team to be successful come next season?
Well, ever since Jade Upshaw has entered the transfer portal, she's going to need that dynamic duo guard beside her, because everyone saw her full potential at the end of this year when we went on that win streak, made that tournament run. Everyone knows what Izzy Higginbottom can do. So when they play us, they're going to be saying, we need to stop Izzy. Well, we all know that Izzy can do what she wants when she wants, but say she's having an off game. We need that guard that can come in and hit a shot for us. We need a guard that can be her Izzy's Steph. We need that Klay Thompson for her. We need that Klay Thompson for her to where if she's not feeling it, she can pass it out to the corner and get that Klay Thompson three. I mean,
right. That's
what we really need, because last year it felt like the only one consistently hitting threes was Izzy. I mean, we had Anna Griffin, but that wasn't Anna Griffin was trying to force turnovers and get on defense and transition into offense. Izzy was the true three-point shooter of that team, and we need another one, because basketball's evolving. The three-point shot is where it's at.
Right, and you brought up Anna Griffin, which kind of segues even perfectly to what we need to talk about is a potential starting five now that Jade's in the portal. I mean, we've talked about it numerous times. And honestly, just from me looking at the team from an outsider point looking in, talking to some of the players the way I have, this is realistically what you're seeing on screen now, a possible starting five for the women's basketball team come day one. You got Izzy at the 1, Lauren at the 2. Now, see, where it gets interchangeable for me is Leilani Ogman and Anna Griffin. You could either switch them because, I mean, look, Leilani's 5'11". Mm-hmm. You could really run her at the 4 if you need to. And Anna, I mean, we've seen her. She's been able to hit clutch shots when she needs to. But when she's forcing it, she's off. But the biggest thing that I want to bring up here is that you're looking at the starting five and you're like, man, you guys are talking about the three-point shot, so where's Malia Wilkerson? Mm-hmm. And the fact of the matter is this five right here, like I said, is interchangeable. And the way Coach Rogers runs her offense and runs her defense and runs her lineups are completely up to her and the rest of the coaching staff. But looking at it from a perspective of what offense can line up respectfully and dynamically with Izzy Higginbottom's game, this is going to be the way you want to run it. Because, sure, Leilani may not have been the best player on the team last season, and some people may think that Jade was a better starter over her. But the fact of the matter is this, is now that Jade's in the portal, you got to move on and you got to look at what works where. And honestly, if you take out Leilani, you move Lauren to the 3, you can put Wilkerson in at that 2 spot and keep Anna and Kapinga at the 4 and 5 respectively. But Cooper, I kind of want to pick your brain a little bit. What do you see here that you like, that you don't like, that you like to change, and what are you thinking?
Well, right now, we're still very early in recruiting and the transfer portal. So right now, to me, this lineup is perfect. Like, what else do you want? They would probably be one of the most experienced lineups in the Sun Belt. That's 5 returning starters right there. How many teams can say they have all 5 of their returning starters coming back?
Right, and that's a great point. And two, for another point about Izzy is that today she was officially recognized as the 8th national player with free throw percentage. With her free throw percentage, she shot 91.1%, which is great. And it may not be in your notes, Cooper, but you just looking at her stats a little bit. She shot just about 40% from the field. She had 16. She shot 30 from 3. But the fact of the matter is this: is with that returning starting lineup, I don't see a vital threat in the Sun Belt for this team other than possibly Texas State.
I mean, we saw them play all year last year, and we're thinking, oh, crap, this is going to be a long season with men and women's basketball. But with this team, we saw their potential they have at the end of the season. So if they can really just work on things they need to work on, fix up some kinks here and there where they're missing, they can be a really, really good team. It's just going to come down to consistent guard play between Izzy and Lauren. And then Melody Kapinga, if we can just get her, I know she's bigger, taller, and she can't really move up the court as fast as the guards can. If we can get her to really almost transition into Nikola Jokic deal, we'll be fine.
Yeah, Cooper, I mean, that's great thoughts. And again, you kind of got me sweating a little bit over here. It's getting a little steamy. So again, we're going to go ahead and take a little Powerade break. And when we come back, we'll be talking about some of the football team and what this team really needs to do in Butch Jones' 3rd year to really be successful here in Jay Vegas. Stick around, guys. You're watching Red Wolf Roundtable here on ASU-TV.
ASU-TV, shows like Red Wolf Roundtable, ASU-TV News, Westside Football, and more. Gain real-life experience while doing what you love. Get involved with ASU-TV today.
ASU-TV, covering all your favorite sports. From Red Wolf Roundtable to Westside Football and more, ASU-TV has you covered. Tune in now to ASU-TV for news and coverage on these sports and more.
Welcome back to Red Wolf Roundtable here on ASU-TV. And now it's time to get into some early predictions for the football team. So, Cooper, I'll let you go ahead and get in the driver's seat a little bit. Take a spin at the wheel and tell me what you see so far from this football squad this early in spring practice.
Well, so far, I would say I'm a little clueless about the team. We have a bunch of new questions of who's quarterback, who's going to play this. But looking at this schedule, it's not as tough as last year's schedule is. I mean, we got Memphis at home. We go to Oklahoma week 1. You bet we'll be there. We go to UMass. That's a must-win. They're bad. We got to beat them. But looking at this schedule, I see 6 potential wins, and 6 wins is key here. Because when you get to 6 wins, that's when you go bowling.
Right, and you make a great point here. And looking at the schedule real quick, you got 3 consecutive home games, which we didn't see a lot of last season. You got Memphis on the 9th, Stony Brook on the 16th, and Southern Miss on the 23rd. That's 3 must-win home games to set a tone early in the season. Now, Coop, you brought up the 6-win mark for the bowl game eligibility. And that, I mean, you're right, 100%. I can't argue with that because that's right. But you got to look, and we talked about it last year, and that's the final 2 minutes of the game. That was where the football team really struggled into closing out games. And you saw that Southern Miss game at home, and that was one of the games where you were thinking, okay, James Blackman, you got to get that offense going. You got to get this team rallied because those final 2 minutes, they choked the game away.
Yep.
And, we talked about it. And Butch Jones, in every third year that he has been at a school as a head coach, he has had a winning record. We talked about it numerous times. Central Michigan, 27-13 overall. In conference, he was 20-3. Cincinnati, 23-14 overall, 12-9 in conference. Tennessee, that's where he's most famous at. He was 21-17 overall, 10-14 in conference. Now, that's kind of where it took a dip, but you can't forget that exciting Georgia game that they had back in 2016 where they won on the Hail Mary with Joshua Dobbs at quarterback.
Yes.
But I say all that to say this. Butch Jones, on record, is 89-73 overall in his first 3 years at his 3 schools that he's been a head coach at, and 4-2 in bowls. That's the key, 4-2 in bowls. Now that he's in his 3rd year here at Arkansas State, a lot of guys, a lot of analysts like ourselves are really expecting Arkansas State to make that bowl push. And honestly, if that happens, you best believe that it's going to be an exciting time here on Red Wolf Roundtable. Now, we're not saying go to the playoff and win the national championship.
Yeah.
No. We understand the keys of college football here, especially at a Sun Belt level school. Just win 6, go to a decent bowl game, even win 8 and go to an even better bowl game. But Coop, looking at Butch Jones and this team, I want to ask, what is missing, and how did they bounce back from the last 2 seasons, really?
We have the offensive weapons, but last year we were missing a dominant O-line. We could not run the ball to save our life. I mean, James Blackman was getting hit every single play. You can't expect a quarterback to want to roll out of the pocket and run if he can't even stay in the pocket and not get hit. But if they can build an O-line, figure the quarterback situation out, we have the weapons on offense. And like always, defense is going to come with offense. If we can start scoring, that gives defense momentum. But back to what you're saying with just the 6-6, we have to win 6 games this year, or I feel like Butch Jones might be in trouble. But back, like I was saying with the offensive line, they gave up 35 sacks in the 2022 season. And the defense gave up 31 points per game. You're not going to win that many games this year if you're going to do that again.
Well, real quick, before we send it back to our news desk correspondent, Ella Jane Britt, once again, we just want to reach a helping hand out to those affected by the tornadoes in Little Rock and Wynn. You guys are in our thoughts and our prayers. Ella Jane, take it away.
Don't forget today's baseball game against the Razorbacks has been canceled due to the inclement weather, but these Red Wolves are set to be back in action Thursday, where they will face Troy at home, and the first pitch is set for 6 p.m. both Thursday and Friday, and the series finale is slated for 1 p.m. on Saturday. You can catch these games live on ESPN Plus or listen to the games live from the Ticket Radio networks. Graphic guy and gamer guys, back to you.
Oh, I love that. That is the epitome of our life right there. You got A-State Arcade, which is coming up right after this.
Yeah.
And I'll be making graphics for the baseball series against Troy. But Cooper, it's been an entertaining time here on Red Wolf Roundtable. Guys, we hope you enjoyed this episode. And once again, we just want to reach out a helping hand and our thoughts and prayers for those affected by the tornadoes that hit this past weekend. But for Red Wolf Roundtable, I'm Tristan Harlan. This is Cooper Melder. We bid you farewell and enjoy this episode of A-State Arcade.